The spoon in my hand stopped in midair. Across the small kitchen table, Linda Parker, my late husband's mother, was laughing into her phone like she hadn't cried a single real tear in years. Not a soft laugh. Not a nervous laugh. A bright, sharp laugh that sliced through the quiet hum of the refrigerator and the steady drum of rain against the window. "No, no," she whispered, pretending to be discreet, but not discreet enough. "She still sends it. Every month. By clockwork. $200. It's honestly kind of adorable." My stomach dropped so hard it felt like my body forgot how to breathe. I stared at the envelope sitting in front of me, the one I'd brought like I always did. Same routine. Same guilt. Same old ache in my chest that never fully healed. 2 crisp $100 bills inside. My hands were shaking so badly the paper on the table trembled with them. Linda turned slightly, her back angled toward me, her voice slick with amusement. "I know. You know. She thinks she's doing the right thing. Let her. It's easier this way. Easier. Like I was a convenience. Like my grief was a monthly subscription." She ended the call and turned around, her face switching masks so fast it should have been impressive if it hadn't been so cold. "Oh, sweetheart," she said, soft as a lullaby, eyes wide, voice gentle. "You are such a blessing. I don't know what I'd do without you. Without me. Or without my money." My throat burned. My chest felt tight, like someone had wrapped a rope around my ribs and pulled. The cinnamon candle on her counter suddenly smelled like something rotten. I looked down at the envelope, then back at her. And right there, in the middle of her cozy kitchen, something inside me snapped, clean and loud, like a dry branch breaking under too much weight. Because my husband had been dead for years. And I had been sending his mother $400 every single month since the funeral. Not because I was rich. Not because it was easy. But because I thought it was the right thing to do. And now I was realizing I might have been the only one mourning at all. Linda thought she had won. She thought I would keep sending that money forever, out of love, guilt, and habit. But she had no idea what I had tucked inside my purse. A folded piece of paper. Name. And a truth I uncovered 2 days ago that could flip her world upside down. The kind of truth that doesn't just embarrass someone. It destroys them. Because Linda wasn't just taking my money. She'd been living off my husband's death in ways I never imagined. And when karma finally arrived, it didn't tap politely. It kicked the door off its hinges. I wish I could tell you I saw it coming. I didn't. For a long time, Linda looked like grief in human form. She looked like a woman crushed under the weight of losing her only son. And I, stupid, soft-hearted me, thought we were broken the same way. My husband, Ryan, died on a Tuesday. I remember that because Tuesdays used to be our boring days. Grocery day. Laundry day. The kind of day you don't even notice because nothing big ever happens. I was at work, staring at my computer screen, trying to finish a report before my lunch break, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. If I had ignored it, maybe I would have had 30 more seconds in the old world. 30 more seconds before everything turned into a different life. A man's voice came through, careful and practiced. "Ma'am. Are you Emily Parker?" My stomach tightened before I even answered. "Yes. This is Officer Thompson. There's been an accident." I don't remember walking out of my office. I don't remember the elevator ride. I don't remember the drive. I just remember my hands on the steering wheel, white-knuckled. And the way the sky looked too bright for something so dark. Ryan's death wasn't dramatic in the movie way. No explosion. No hero moment. No last words. Just a wet highway, a tired driver drifting into the wrong lane, and one wrong second. He was 32. We'd been married 6 years. Ryan used to hum when he made coffee. He'd squeeze my shoulder when he walked past me in the hallway. He'd call me M like it was the safest word in the world. At the hospital, they guided me into a small room with beige walls and a box of tissues that looked like a decoration. Like anyone could wipe away that kind of pain. Doctor spoke. Words floated in the air. I heard "I'm sorry" and "we did everything." My mind refused to hold them. My body didn't believe it. I remember saying, "No, you have the wrong person." But they didn't. And then Linda arrived. I had met Linda before, of course. She was the kind of mother-in-law people warn you about. Polite on the outside, sharp underneath. But Ryan loved her. Defended her. Said she had a hard life. And I tried to be understanding. When Linda walked into that hospital room, she let out a sound I still hear sometimes when the house is quiet. Wail. A broken animal sound. She grabbed my hand so hard it hurt and cried, "My baby, my baby." And in that moment I believed her. I believed she was a mother who had just lost her child. I believed we were standing on the same cliff, staring into the same darkness. The funeral came like a blur. People hugged me. People said they were sorry. People brought casseroles I didn't eat. I wore black and smiled when I was supposed to. I stared at Ryan's photo until my eyes felt dry and hollow. When the crowd finally thinned, Linda stayed. She sat in my living room, staring at the walls like she expected Ryan to step back through the door. "I don't know how to do this," she whispered one night, voice shaking. "I don't have anyone else." My chest tightened because I didn't have anyone else either. My parents lived out of state. Ryan had been my home. He was the person I told everything to. The person who made the world feel less heavy. So when Linda started calling more often, I answered. When she started coming by, I let her in. When she talked about being lonely, I listened. And when she finally said what she came to say, quietly like she was ashamed, I didn't think. I just reacted. "Emily," she said, eyes wet, hands trembling around a mug of tea. "I hate to ask, but Ryan helped me. A little each month. He never told you because he didn't want you to worry. But now he's gone and I'm drowning." I remember my heart racing. Ryan had never mentioned sending her money. But he was private about some things. And he loved his mom, so it made sense. "How much?" I asked. She looked down like the number itself hurt. $200. 200. Back then that was groceries. That was gas. That was my small emergency cushion. But I pictured Linda alone in her apartment, struggling. I pictured Ryan, the kind of man who would pull over to help a stranger change a tire in the rain. I pictured what he would want. So I nodded. "I'll help," I said. "I'll send it every month." Linda grabbed my hands again, tears sliding down her cheeks. "You're an angel." He chose well. That line stuck to my heart like glue. 'Cause it felt like approval. Like I had passed some test. And when you're drowning in grief, you cling to anything that feels like meaning. The first few months it was painful but simple. I set up an automatic transfer from my bank app. 200 on the first of every month. Each time it went through, it felt like I was doing something for Ryan. Like I was keeping a promise. Linda called to thank me every month. Her voice full of emotion. "You're the only reason I'm okay," she'd say. Sometimes she'd sniffle. Sometimes she'd talk about Ryan like she missed him so much she couldn't breathe. And I believed her. Because I needed to believe at least one part of this nightmare was gentle. A year passed. Then two. Grief doesn't disappear. Changes shape. Gets quieter sometimes. Then it hits you out of nowhere like a wave. It lived in my empty passenger seat. It lived in the way I still reached for my phone to text Ryan when something funny happened. It lived in the silence after I turned off the TV at night. I started rebuilding slowly. I took extra shifts. I learned to fix small things myself. I stopped buying little luxuries. And every month, like a ritual, $200 left my account. Sometimes I wondered if I should stop. Then Linda would call at the perfect time like she could smell my doubt. "I had a scare at the doctor," she'd say, voice trembling. "But don't worry. I'll be okay." Or, "My landlord is talking about raising rent again. I don't know what I'll do." And guilt would rise up like a tide. So I kept paying. 'Cause I thought it made me a good person. 'Cause I thought it honored Ryan. Because in a world where he was gone, at least I could still do something that mattered. Then my life got harder. Not in some dramatic movie-style way. In a slow, squeezing way. My car needed repairs. My job cut hours. Rent climbed. Groceries got more expensive. Every time I thought I was catching my breath, something else happened. And then came the final punch. My daughter Ava needed braces. Ava was 14 by then. Smart, stubborn, always trying not to ask for anything because she saw how tight money had gotten. The orthodontist explained the cost and the payment plan. My mind did the math without me even trying. And the number that kept flashing in my head was 200. I could cover Ava's braces if I stopped sending Linda money. Just for a while. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, staring at my bank app like it was a moral test. My finger hovered over the cancel transfer button. My heart pounded like I was about to do something unforgivable. I told myself Ryan has been gone for years. Linda has had time. Helped enough. I clicked cancel. The screen asked, "Are you sure?" Before I could answer, my phone rang. Linda froze. My skin prickled like a sudden cold draft in the room. I answered anyway. "Hi, Linda." She didn't do small talk. She never did when it mattered. "Emily," she said, voice thin and urgent. "Did something happen?" My blood went cold. "What do you mean?" I had a feeling," she breathed. "I had a nightmare last night." Ryan was calling out. Like he was disappointed. My throat tightened. "Linda, I can't do this alone," she whispered, and I could hear tears. "You're all I have left of him." I looked at Ava's braces paperwork. I looked at the bank screen. I felt trapped. So I did what I always did. I apologized. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "No, nothing happened. It's fine." And I reactivated the transfer. $200. The next morning, Ava found me staring at my coffee like it had betrayed me. "You okay?" she asked. I forced a smile. "Just tired." She hesitated, then said softly, "If it's about my braces, it's okay. I don't need them." That broke me in a new way. Because a child should never have to say that. That day something changed inside me. Quiet anger. Not loud yet. Just awake. It started asking questions I had been too scared to ask. Who was Linda really? What was she doing with my money? Why did she always seem to know when I tried to stop? The first crack in her story came from the most unexpected place. Checkout line. I was at the grocery store after work, hair in a messy bun, holding a basket with the cheapest cereal and store-brand pasta. The woman in front of me turned slightly, and I recognized her. Mrs. Jenkins. She used to live in the same apartment building Linda lived in after Ryan died. I'd seen her in the hallway a few times when I dropped off groceries for Linda during the first year. "Emily," she said, surprised. "Oh my goodness. It's been forever." We talked politely, the way people do when they remember your face but don't know what to say about the sadness behind it. Then she said something casual that landed like a brick. "How's Linda liking that new place?" I blinked. "New place?" Mrs. Jenkins laughed. "Oh honey, you didn't know? She moved months ago. She's in those gated townhomes in Lakeview Heights now." My mouth went dry. "Linda moved?" "Yes," Mrs. Jenkins said, scanning her items. "Good for her, honestly. After all those years, she finally got herself something nice. New car too. I saw it last week. Brand new white SUV. Fancy." My basket felt heavy in my hand. I forced a laugh, but it came out wrong. "Oh yeah. Good for her." Mrs. Jenkins leaned closer, lowering her voice like she was sharing gossip. "She must be doing very well. She always talked about her investments and her nest egg." I didn't really get it, but beep, beep, beep. The cashier rang up groceries, and my ears rang with every sound. Investments. Nest egg. Linda, who cried about rent and begged for help. I walked out of the store and sat in my car for a long time, staring at my steering wheel like it could explain what I was feeling. My heart wasn't just hurt. It was furious. That night I did something I had never done before. I looked Linda up online. Felt wrong at first, like spying. But grief had made me obedient, and anger made me brave. I searched her name, her city. Then I tried social media. And there it was. Linda Parker. Her profile picture wasn't a grieving mother. It was Linda on a boat, hair done, sunglasses on, a glass of something sparkling in her hand. Caption: living my best life. My hands went numb. I scrolled. Pictures of steak dinners in fancy restaurants. A living room filled with bright windows and expensive furniture. A selfie in front of a casino sign, smiling like she had never been touched by pain. And then I saw the photo that made my breath stop. Linda holding a check at a bank. The amount was hard to see because of glare, but the bank logo was clear. My bank. My stomach twisted. I didn't sleep that night. My brain replayed every time she cried, every time she called me Angel, every time she used Ryan's name like a leash around my neck. The next day I called her. I told myself I would be calm. I told myself I would just ask. Linda answered on the second ring, cheerful. Too cheerful. "Oh, Emily." Perfect timing. "I was just thinking about you." I swallowed. "Linda, did you move?" Was. Small but real. "Oh," she said lightly. "Yes. Found a better place. It's safer." "You didn't tell me." "Well," she sighed like I was being unreasonable. "I didn't want you to worry." "Mrs. Jenkins said you have a new car," I said. Another pause. "A car was necessary," Linda said, her voice sharpening. "My old one was unreliable." "With what money?" I asked. My voice cracked even though I tried to keep it steady. Linda made a soft sound like pity. "Emily, are you upset?" "I'm confused," I said. "You told me you were struggling. You told me you needed help." "I do need help," she snapped quickly. "You don't know my expenses. You don't know my life." I felt heat rise in my face. "Linda, are you receiving money because Ryan died?" Silence. Not a small pause. Full stop. Then Linda laughed, quiet and nervous, like I had told a bad joke. "Money because he died," she repeated. "Oh, Emily, why would you ask that?" "Because you said Ryan helped you," I said. "That means he cared about your finances. That means he might have set something up. Benefits, insurance, anything." "Did he?" Linda's voice changed. It went flatter, colder. "Emily," she said slowly, "you're letting your imagination run wild." "Answer me," I said. "You're being disrespectful," she snapped. "After everything I've been through." There it was. The guilt knife. The one she always used. But the blade didn't cut as deep anymore. "I'm going to ask you again," I said, trembling. "Did you get anything because Ryan died?" Linda's breath hissed through the phone. "If you don't want to help me anymore, just say so. But don't make me the villain." Then she hung up. I stared at my phone. My heart hammered. Because if she wasn't hiding something, she would have explained. She would have cried. She would have comforted me. Instead, she got angry. And people get angry when they're cornered. 2 days later, I took a half-day off work and went somewhere I hadn't been since the funeral. Ryan's old workplace. He worked for the county. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. Benefits. Retirement. The kind of job that made you feel like life was at least predictable. I walked into the building with sweaty palms and a racing heart. At the front desk, a woman looked up. "Can I help you?" "My name is Emily Parker," I said. Even saying the last name still felt like touching a bruise. "My husband, Ryan Parker, worked here. He passed away. I have a question about his benefits records." Her eyes softened. "I'm sorry for your loss. Do you have an appointment?" "No," I admitted. "I just need to know something." She hesitated, then directed me to the HR benefits office. A man named Mr. Miller met with me in a small office with a cheap plant in the corner and a framed picture of the county seal on the wall. He was kind but careful, the way people are when paperwork and death sit in the same room. He asked for my ID. He asked for my marriage certificate. I had copies because grief teaches you to carry proof of your pain. He typed on his computer for a long time. Then his eyebrows pulled together. "Mrs. Parker," he said slowly, "according to our records, you weren't listed as Ryan's primary beneficiary." My chest tightened. "What?" He looked at me with real sympathy. His primary beneficiary on file was Linda Parker. The room tilted. I gripped the chair arm like it could hold me up. "No," I whispered. "That can't be right." Mr. Miller turned the monitor slightly. "This is the beneficiary designation form. It's signed." I stared at it. Ryan's name was printed at the top. Linda's name was in the beneficiary section. And the signature at the bottom looked like Ryan's. But not quite. It was close. Too close. Like someone had copied it slowly. "So, she got everything?" I asked, and my voice sounded far away. Mr. Miller cleared his throat. "There was a payout from life insurance and benefits. And survivor benefits were processed to the listed beneficiary." My ears buzzed. All those months. All those years. Me struggling. Ava giving up braces. Me paying Linda like she had nothing. And Linda living her best life. My hands trembled. I couldn't hide it. "Did Ryan change it before he died?" Yes. Mr. Miller hesitated. "The last update was submitted about 2 weeks before the accident." 2 weeks. 2 weeks before Ryan died. My heartbeat thudded in my throat. Ryan and I had been normal 2 weeks before he died. We argued about what to watch on TV. He kissed my forehead in the morning. There was no big conversation. No warning. No just in case. Why would he change his beneficiary then? Ugh. Unless he didn't. "Can I get a copy of that form?" Yes. Mr. Miller looked uneasy. "I can submit a request for records. It may take time." "Please," I said. "I need it." I walked out of that building feeling like the ground under me had shifted. That night, I dug through every old box I had. Ryan's papers. Letters. Documents I had shoved away because looking at them hurt too much. And I found something that made my blood go cold. A letter from an insurance company. Addressed to Linda. Not to me. It had been tucked into a pile of sympathy cards. I must have missed it in the fog of grief. My fingers shook as I opened it. It wasn't a full statement, but it was enough. Benefit disbursement confirmation. Linda had received a lump sum. Big one. Enough to buy a gated townhome. Enough to buy a brand new SUV. Enough to never need my $200 again. I sat on the floor, the letter in my hands, and laughed once, sharp and broken, because it was either laugh or scream. It wasn't just that she had money. It was that she still took mine. Still called me. Still cried. Still used Ryan's memory like a tool. I thought about every time I went without something so she could have something. And the anger stopped being quiet. It became a fire. The next day I called an attorney. Not some fancy TV lawyer with a skyscraper office. A local attorney named Ms. Reynolds with kind eyes and a voice that didn't play games. She listened while I told her everything. The death, the monthly payments, the beneficiary form, the timing, the letter. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. "Emily," she said, "either Ryan made a choice you didn't know about, or someone committed fraud." My stomach tightened. "Can we prove it?" Ms. Reynolds nodded slowly. "Maybe. If that signature is forged, we can challenge the beneficiary change. We can request records, compare signatures, involve an expert. But you need to be ready." "For what?" asked. She looked at me carefully. "For Linda to stop acting sweet." I swallowed. "She already has." Ms. Reynolds nodded. "Good. That means you're seeing her clearly." I left with a plan. A real plan. Not just feelings. Not just anger. A plan that would pull the truth into the light. And that's how we circle back to Linda's kitchen. To the cinnamon candle. To the rain at the window. To the envelope on the table. I hadn't come there to be kind. Not anymore. I had come there to confirm something. To see her face when she couldn't hide. And she handed me the proof with her own mouth. "She still sends it," Linda had laughed on the phone. Like I was a joke. Now she sat across from me, smiling sweetly. Hands folded like she was a saint. I lifted the envelope slowly. Linda's eyes flicked to it. "There it is," she said warmly. "You're so dependable, Emily. Ryan would be proud." Hearing Ryan's name from her lips made my skin crawl. I set the envelope down. But not in front of her. I pulled it back toward me. Linda blinked. "Oh, did you want me to open it later?" I leaned forward, voice calm. "Who were you talking to?" Her smile tightened. "What?" "On the phone," I said. "Who were you laughing with?" Linda's eyes flashed. "No one." I nodded slowly, like I accepted that lie. "You said I still send it." "Like clockwork." Linda's jaw clenched. "You were eavesdropping." "I was sitting right here," I said. "In your kitchen." She scoffed, lifting her chin. "So what if you heard something?" "People talk." "You're being dramatic." I stared at her. "Did you get life insurance money when Ryan died?" Her face hardened so fast the softness disappeared completely. "That is none of your business," she snapped. My hands stopped shaking. Because that reaction told me everything. "It is my business," I said quietly. "Because you've taken money from me for years. You told me you were drowning." Linda slammed her palm on the table, making the spoon jump. "How dare you? After I welcomed you into this family." I let out a small, bitter laugh. "Family?" Her eyes narrowed. "You think you're better than me?" "No," I said. "I think you're lying." For a second, Linda looked shocked, like she couldn't believe I had spoken to her that way. Then her mouth twisted, and the mask fell all the way off. "You wouldn't have survived a week without Ryan," she hissed. "Don't forget who you were before him." My stomach clenched, but I didn't flinch. "I survived his death," I said. "Don't tell me what I can't survive." Linda's eyes flicked to my purse, then back to me. "If this is about money, just stop sending it." "Fine. But don't act like I stole from you. You gave it. Every month. No one forced you." "That's true," I said, nodding. "No one forced me." I reached into my purse. Linda's gaze followed my hand like a hawk. I pulled out the folded paper, and I placed it on the table between us. The benefit confirmation letter. Her name on it. The words disbursement and confirmation, printed so neatly it felt cruel. Linda went still. Her lips parted. The whole room changed like a storm rolled in. "You went through my mail," she whispered. I shook my head. "No, I went through mine. I found what you hoped I wouldn't." Linda's fingers trembled as she stared at the paper. Then she lifted her eyes to mine, and for the first time I saw fear. Not grief. Not sadness. Fear. "How much did you get?" "Yes." Linda swallowed. "That's private." "How much?" I repeated. Her voice cracked with anger. "It doesn't matter. It's mine. And you still took from me," I said, my voice steady. "You let me struggle." Linda's eyes narrowed. "Ryan wanted me taken care of. He loved me. I'm his mother. And I was his wife," I said. "And you still took money from me like you had nothing." Linda's chest rose and fell fast. Then she smiled. Slow and cruel. "You're jealous," she said softly. "That's what this is. You're jealous that he chose me." My stomach turned. "He didn't choose you. He died." Linda's smile widened. "Did he?" My blood went ice cold. "What did you just say?" I whispered. Linda leaned forward, eyes glittering with something dark. I said, "Maybe you don't know your husband as well as you think." The room spun. Because suddenly, every strange detail snapped into place. The beneficiary changed 2 weeks before the accident. The signature that felt wrong. Linda's perfect timing when I tried to stop sending money. Her confidence. Her laughter. "Explain," I said, and my voice was barely a thread. Linda leaned back like she was settling into a chair at a show. "I'm tired of being treated like some beggar," she said. "You think I wanted your pity money. I took it because it was owed." "Owed?" Echoed. Linda's eyes narrowed. "Ryan promised me things. Ryan was going to do right by me after what your precious marriage did to him." My heart pounded. "What are you talking about?" Linda's voice dipped low. "He was going to leave you." The words hit me like a slap. "No," I whispered. Yes, she said calmly. He told me. He said you were heavy. Always needing something. He was tired. My mouth opened but nothing came out. Linda watched me struggle and looked almost pleased. You were his safe choice, she said. But he wanted freedom. I shook my head, anger rising like lava. You're lying. Linda shrugged. Believe what you want. But paperwork doesn't lie. She tapped the letter with one fingernail. And money doesn't lie. I stared at her and realized something terrifying. Linda wasn't just greedy. She was proud. Proud of what she'd taken. Proud of what she'd done. And that meant she would never stop. Not unless the truth made her. I stood slowly. Linda's eyes tracked me, cautious now. I'm done, I said. Linda scoffed. Fine. Leave. You'll come crawling back when guilt eats you alive. I picked up the envelope and slipped it back into my purse. Linda's face twisted. That's mine. No, I said, looking her dead in the eye. It was yours when I believed you deserved it. I walked to the door. Behind me, Linda's voice sharpened like a threat. If you try to take what I have, Emily, you'll regret it. I paused with my hand on the doorknob. Then I turned back, calm as ice. You already taught me what regret feels like, I said. Now it's your turn. I stepped out into the rain. And for the first time in years, the air felt clean. The weeks after that were ugly. Not dramatic like a movie. Ugly like real life. Linda's calls came in waves. One day she cried. The next day she screamed. She left voicemails that swung like a pendulum. Emily, please. I loved him too. Then, you ungrateful little liar. Then, I'm sick. How can you do this to me? Then, you'll pay for this. She showed up at my apartment once, pounding on my door so hard the picture frames rattled on the wall. Ava stood behind me, eyes wide. Who is that? I took a slow breath. Someone who thinks fear is a language. I didn't open the door. I called Ms. Reynolds. We filed requests. We demanded records. We got copies. We pulled old documents from the county. We requested bank information tied to the disbursement. We pushed until people had to answer. And the deeper we dug, the darker it got. Because it wasn't just that Linda received money. She had signed forms I didn't recognize. She had claimed certain things about Ryan's support that didn't match reality. And the beneficiary designation. A handwriting expert reviewed the signature and said it was highly inconsistent. Highly inconsistent. A polite phrase that made my skin prickle. Ms. Reynolds looked at me, serious. Emily, if this signature was forged, Linda didn't just lie. She committed fraud. My stomach twisted. Because accusing someone of being selfish is one thing. Realizing someone might have forged their own son's signature for money, that was something else. We turned the information over. Then we waited. Linda didn't. She tried to move money. She tried to sell things quickly. She tried to shift assets like she could outrun paper. But paper trails are patient. And truth has a way of hunting quietly. One morning, as I was making Ava breakfast, my phone buzzed. A message from Ms. Reynolds. They opened an investigation. I stared at the words. Ava looked up. What's wrong? I exhaled slowly. Nothing, I said. Something is finally right. After that, Linda changed her strategy. The rage stopped working, so she tried weakness. She called again, voice trembling, small and shaky. Emily, she whispered, please. We can talk. I stayed quiet. They came to my house, she said, panicked. They asked questions. They said I could be in trouble. I said nothing. Linda swallowed. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I finally spoke, steady and low. You meant for it to go exactly as far as it benefited you. Please, she begged. I'm old. I can't lose everything. I thought about Ava saying she didn't need braces. I thought about nights I cried alone because missing Ryan felt like my bones hurt. I thought about Linda laughing that I still sent money like clockwork. And I felt something strange. Not joy. Not revenge happy. Just balance. Karma doesn't care how old you are, I said softly. It shows up when it's time. Linda sobbed. You're cruel. Cruel. The word almost made me laugh. I had been kind for years. I had been generous, loyal, careful, forgiving. And she called me cruel the moment I stopped bleeding for her. I ended the call. When the case finally moved forward, Linda tried to act like a grieving mother again. She wore black. She dabbed her eyes. She spoke in a soft voice. She told everyone she was confused. That she didn't understand paperwork. That Ryan must have wanted it. But paperwork doesn't cry. Evidence doesn't care about sad voices. In the hearing, the handwriting expert explained the signature differences in simple terms. Stroke pressure, letter shape, bead, rhythm. Linda's face went pale. Then the county benefits officer laid out the timeline. The date the beneficiary form was submitted. The date it was processed. Payout dates. And then came the part that made the whole room go still. Ms. Reynolds stood up and said calmly, if Ryan truly changed his beneficiary 2 weeks before his death, we should be able to confirm where he was when the form was submitted. The investigator answered, we can. Linda's chin lifted like she didn't care. Then the investigator continued, the form was submitted in person at the county office. Linda's eyes flickered. And according to security footage, the investigator said, Ryan was not the person who submitted it. A soft ripple went through the room. Not loud, not dramatic. Just that quiet sound people make when the truth lands hard. Linda's face tightened into a thin line. Her eyes went sharp. She didn't look sad. She looked furious that she was being exposed. For the first time, I saw her without the mask in front of strangers. Not a grieving mother. A person who had been caught. The case didn't end in one single movie-style moment. Real life doesn't always give you a perfect slam of a gavel and instant justice. But it did give me something better. It gave me the truth on record. Linda was ordered to repay what she shouldn't have received. Certain benefits were reclaimed. Some of her assets had to be sold. And the $200 I sent her for years. Ms. Reynolds went after that too. Not because I wanted to get rich. But because I wanted my pain to stop being her paycheck. Linda lost the townhome. The white SUV disappeared. The best life photos vanished from her social media like they never existed. And the last time I saw her outside the courthouse, she looked at me with eyes full of hate, and something underneath it. Because she never believed I would stand up. She never believed the widow would become the storm. As she passed me, she hissed, "You think you won?" I looked at her. This woman who used grief like a tool and felt no fear. "No," I said quietly. "Ryan lost. I lost. Ava lost." Linda's face twitched like my words stung. "But you," I continued, my voice calm. "You chose this. And now you're paying the bill." She flinched just a little. Then she walked away, shoulders tense, trying to hold on to pride that didn't fit her anymore. Months later, Ava got her braces. I picked up extra work. I budgeted. It was hard, but it was honest. And the strange part, when that automatic transfer stopped leaving my account every month, I finally had room to breathe. Not just financially, emotionally. Because the truth set me free in a way I didn't expect. I stopped seeing kindness as something that required me to suffer. I stopped confusing guilt with love. And I stopped letting Ryan's memory be used to control me. Sometimes people ask me, "Do you feel bad for Linda?" They ask if I think I went too far. And here's what I tell them. Compassion is beautiful. But compassion without boundaries becomes permission. And there are people in this world who will take your softness and squeeze it until it becomes pain. Linda taught me that. But she also taught me something else. Karma doesn't always arrive as lightning. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet woman who finally stops apologizing. Sometimes it arrives as one question you're brave enough to ask. Sometimes it arrives as a signature that doesn't match. A record pulled. A lie exposed. And when it arrives, it doesn't ask if the timing is convenient. Just arrives. So if you're watching this and you've ever given and given and given, while someone smiled and took, please hear me. Your kindness is not weakness, but it is valuable. Protect it. And if someone uses your love like a leash, cut it. Because the truth always rises. And the people who build their lives on lies eventually trip over their own footsteps. If you believe in karma, if you believe the truth has a way of coming back around, subscribe. Because karma is real. And sometimes, it needs a witness.